Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have a really fun episode today. We have with us actor Ethan Suplee. You're the big guy from Boy Meets World, the big guy from Remember the Titans, the big guy from American History X, the big guy from My Name is Earl.
And the bully from the Wonder Years.
And the bully from the Wonder Years.
That's right.
You just launched you became a meme because you were at your heaviest, what, 490?
No, I was, here's the thing. The highest I ever clocked in on a scale was 536. But I will say, I know for sure I was bigger than that because I had to eventually buy bigger pants. But I never weighed in.
So when you get on that scale, it just says help.
It was a freight scale. So it was like you had to add weights to it. Yeah.
So, and now you became a meme because you lost a ton of weight and you launched a new podcast called American Glutton.
Yes.
And that's really cool. It's blowing up already.
Yeah. I mean, the reaction has been insanely positive. The last time I've lost and gained weight numerous times.
Yeah.
And the last time that I lost a real significant amount of weight and was at a weight that I thought I wanted to be at. I was at a goal weight, basically. The reaction was not positive. And so I was kind of hesitant about this because I had such a negative reaction the last time. And so the positive, it's been slightly overwhelming. It's been great.
Because it's all these strangers who are posting your meme and being like, man, this is motivating as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you look at that picture of you and Remember the Titans, I mean, were you aware of how big you were?
I look at that and I cannot fathom being that big.
Right.
But I was even bigger than that. That's not even me at my biggest. That's really big. And the craziest part of that is prior to Remember the Titans, I went on a diet for Remember the Titans. We were going to do a football camp prior to the movie, and I remember thinking, like, I can't do football camp. I got to, get in a little bit of shape. And I dieted for, a month, and I lost a bunch of weight. And
What's a bunch, though?
It wasn't even...
You don't know at that level.
You couldn't... Yeah, I wasn't getting on scales.
Right.
I was just dieting, and I know I lost weight. And then we shot that in Atlanta, and day one of football camp, which was like a 2 or 3 week thing, just the stretching, I couldn't proceed. There was like a half an hour, 40 minutes of stretching, maybe an hour. I don't know. But the stretching was so much that I was done. And kind of that was my experience at football camp. I would show up and stretch and then sit and watch them actually practice football.
But what's that like psychologically when you're on the team, but you're benched just because of your weight?
It was, honestly, it was kind of a relief because I was watching these guys have to exercise going I don't want to fucking do that. That doesn't look fun. Nothing about it looked fun. It just looked hard. And so when I would say I'm done, my body can't do anymore. And they would go, yeah, no, you're done. I was like, yeah, look at me. I'm done.
The best. I'm the smart one here.
Yeah.
I'm using my brains.
Yeah. By the way, why isn't anyone else just saying I'm done? Apparently that's all you have to do to tap out of exercise is say I'm done.
So tell me how this podcast came about.
It was a couple things. First and foremost, my wife was really sick of listening to me talk about diet. And she said, go talk to somebody else. And I said, who am I supposed to talk to? And she said, you talk to everybody. Go talk to everybody else but me. I don't want to hear about it anymore. So that was one part of it. And then my buddy Kevin Connolly, who is a big fan of Gas Digital.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, Gas Digital is one of the things that led him to build his platform, I guess, if that's what it's called.
So for those who don't know, Kevin Connolly was best known as E on Entourage.
On Entourage, yes. He created a studio called Action Park Media, and he, in the beginning, prior to being even done fabricating the studio, he was asking me, come do a podcast. And I said, what the fuck am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, only racial slurs.
Okay. Well, what the fuck am I allowed to? What would I talk about, Kevin? And
goddamn
he said,
gyp.
Yeah, he said you come talk about politics and all that crazy philosophy you talk about, and I was like, I'm not. That's no way. I'm never gonna do that. And he asked me a few more times, and I just said, I have nothing to talk about. And then I woke up one day on my way to the gym and thought, I could talk about this. This is what I talk to people about. My wife said, go talk to other people. I'll talk about diet and exercise. And so now we have American Glutton.
What do you think? I had this tweet, and I'm very curious to hear your opinion, because you are in some ways like Adele in the sense that when your weight changes, you're getting comments in the press.
Yeah.
So you can't just have it be a personal thing. And it's not even comments from, like, let's suppose YouTube commenters where you can kind of dismiss them, or maybe people are being hateful on the internet or whatever. But these are like journalists who are just like, look at this, like, fat fuck, right?
Right.
So that's jarring because they're not being paid to be particularly venomous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think of the idea that, do you think it's kind of insidious like I do? Maybe I'm leading the question, but, they talk about Adele, oh, you're so beautiful when she was big, which I think she was.
Yeah.
And then she loses weight and they're like, wow, look at her now. And it's kind of telling, I think, people who are big.
Like, you look better.
Right.
You looked great, but you look better. I never had anyone say I looked great. That was never a thing that I experienced.
And you can't set fire to the rain.
No. But here's the really terrible part. I went from over 500 pounds to 220 pounds and like a resting heart rate of sub 40 beats a minute, able to ride a bicycle 150 miles in a day and not be too taxed to ride the next day.
Yeah.
Like, I was in incredible cardiovascular shape and very low body fat percentage, but I was super thin. The few press stories on this were, look at the downside of weight loss, and it would be paparazzi staking out the coffee shop that I'd stop at and getting a picture of me in spandex with like loose skin on my legs and saying like, this is what weight loss does. And
wow.
So I never had either of those. I never had, he looked great as a fat guy, and now look at him. He looks even better as a thin guy. I just had, he looks terrible. Fat, thin, this guy is not doing it right. And so this time around, I'm like zeroing in on 10% body fat and in the gym every day. And I'm like, I'm not gonna let somebody else tell this story. I'm gonna release pictures of how I look, and I'm gonna get the angle that I like. You can still get a terrible picture of me, by the way. I look at myself in the mirror every day and see a fat guy. So somebody with a camera can get a picture of me and sell that as a fat guy for sure. I don't know if that's, but yeah. Also on the chart of the standardized chart, I'm overweight.
Right.
Most of it's muscle, but I still fall into the category of overweight.
Well, those charts are stupid. Because
I agree.
According to those charts of bodybuilders,
they're all fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Schwarzenegger was fat.
Yeah.
Overweight.
Well, he has gotten.
He has. He's let himself go.
I mean,
be honest.
When you're plowing the maid, you're not exactly a stud.
Yeah, you've given up on life. I
You've
think.
given up on life.
Yeah.
And be governor. This is all downhill.
It's a problem.
So who have been some of the people you've had? Because you've recorded a bunch already.
Yeah.
Like, who have some of the people you've had on, and how'd you pick them as guests?
We had a wonderful, wonderful guy who has all kinds of eating disorders on, named Michael Malice. Yeah.
I heard he's a real prick.
A real jerk, but I loved him. No, we've had we've recorded like 10 episodes so far. 2 have come out. We have, I think the next guy up is Dr. Will Cole, who's a big keto advocate.
Okay.
We have Jamie Kilstein, podcaster, comedian. We have my cardiologist, Rico Simonini.
Okay.
I'm totally spacing on some of our other guests, but we've got a bunch of really cool interviews.
So you've had Kevin on.
Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin Conley. So Kevin Conley is one of the few people on TV that I don't know if admires the word, but kind of see myself in.
Okay.
Because he's the little smartass guy.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I never was able to watch Family Ties because I really related to Alex P. Keaton.
Yeah.
And I resented it at age 8 that they were making a buffoon of him when he was
Right.
clearly like my idol.
Yeah, he was alpha.
Right, and they're clowning him with these.
How dare they?
You're joking, but
I know I can fully empathize with what you're saying. Lardass in Stand By Me.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the hero of the movie. The whole movie, this is the one hero. What he did was heroic.
Yeah. So yeah, it really bothered me. And so, I mean, what's he like in real life? Is he like me at all?
No.
Okay.
He is not like you at all.
Oh, that hurts my feelings.
No, but I mean, you guys are completely different people. I tend to not look for similarities. I try very hard not to categorize people via similarities, but rather via differences.
Sure. Okay.
That's just what I do.
Okay.
You guys are similar sizes.
I feel like if he was a comic book character, we'd be drawn similarly.
I think so. Yes. Physically, you are similar.
Yeah.
You are very similar. He is a really sweet guy, and I really...
He's nothing like you. He's a really sweet guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Really
he's
smart.
He's a sensitive, sweet, nice person.
Educated.
Yeah.
And informed.
Right. There you go. So he's actually your polar opposite, other than physical characteristics.
I'll be V, he'll be E.
Yeah.
It'll be a Highlander thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, what has been your response from your crew as you've kind of lost all this weight in a positive way?
My friends have always been supportive.
Okay.
The one diet that I did kind of under their, not request, but their suggestion, like, hey, there's this new diet, go try it. And I did it and I lost a bunch of weight and they were super supportive. And then when I went off, I think they were disappointed, but not overtly disappointed. And then when I started to do it on my own, they were nothing but supportive. I think there was some hesitancy to over acknowledge me simply because they didn't want to say, you've done it and now you can stop. You know what I mean? So it was always encouraging. And I think because I've done it a number of times, I think they still feel that hesitancy of like,
right.
I'm not going to tell you how great you're doing because I don't want you to think you can just relax now.
Well, you've been in recovery.
Yeah.
So is this kind of a similar mindset and like pattern, you think?
I think it's very similar. I think you get to a place where you understand that this is something that I'm just going to deal with forever.
Yeah.
And there's no like, if I get to X weight, I'm done and I'll be fine. There's no antibiotic that kills the bacteria and then you're clean of that thing. It's just something I'll be dealing with forever.
Do you think you're going to get sick of talking about this pretty soon?
I really hope not. I've been enjoying it up until now. Yeah. I like talking about it. I think also the last time I lost weight, I didn't want to talk about it.
Okay.
You know, I was like willing to say I ride bicycles and then not get into any of the specifics. But because of this reaction, certainly, and so many people saying that it's encouraging them.
Yeah.
I think that's enough fuel to keep me talking about it and also keep me motivated, you know?
So I got to ask.
Yeah.
When you were at your heaviest, what was that one food that really was your trap?
I used to carry around a sack of Reuben sandwiches kind of everywhere I went. I would just have it, and I'd have them wrapped in foil, wax paper, and then foil so they didn't leak grease everywhere. But I always had a sack of Reuben sandwiches with me. I mean, always is hyperbolic, but a lot of the time.
But those are like 1,000. I mean, those are off the charts in terms of calories.
Yeah.
Is there a special place that you went to get like good Reubens in LA?
In LA, I would go, you know, any of the delis would have them. Cantor's, Katz's, Jerry's wasn't the best, but. Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't even have like a special place. You would just get them anywhere.
Yeah, you could get them anywhere. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here I'd go to Katz's.
Hey guys, Michael Malice here. I want to tell you about our new sponsor, Beachbody. And they were very smart. They gave me a look at the site. And you know, I'm very big on advocating for mental health. So what's great about Beachbody is they've got a ton of different workouts that work depending on your body. So you find someone who looks like what you want to look like, and you do their workout. There are different workouts every day, so you can customize it. They've got the little videos to show you what it looks like. Every type of workout, from bodybuilding to weight training to yoga. They've got dance workouts. You can look at it on your phone and your TV. And you know this name, they've been around for decades, and I think it's really, really smart how they put it together because they've got something for everyone. If you text Malice to 30303030, you get a free trial membership. You get access to the entire platform for free. You get the nutrition support. You get the workouts. It's I've been talking about this for weeks, for months. Now you have a reason at no cost to look at this site and find a workout and a virtual trainer who will work for you. All you have to do is text Malice to 3030 and you get access to the full platform for free. You are welcome.
Okay. I did an episode 2 weeks ago, and I've talked this before. My friend Eric, who's been heavy all his life, he passed away in August. Is there anything that anyone could have said to you when you were 500 pounds that would have made a difference?
I don't think so.
Wow. Because you knew, you know you're not thin at that size.
No, I just think I had no necessity to change.
Right.
I worked. I had everything that I needed. There was no aspect of my life that I could point to, that I could go like, yeah, this could be better. It just didn't matter, so really, I think it was when I met the girl who is now my wife, and we have kids, and I had a slightly uncomfortable experience, and then I talked to her about it, and I realized like she likes to go to Europe and walk around all day. I'm not going to be doing that with her.
Right. Not even walking's a challenge.
I mean, look, I never had to take a wheelchair anywhere, but yeah, if you said we're going to just walk around Paris all day, I'm out.
You were closer to wheelchair than you were to walking around.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could walk from the hotel to a car. I could make it through a museum, but I'd probably sit down on a bench to look at paintings periodically. I might still do that. But yeah, the last time I went to Paris, we clocked 10 miles a day. There's no way I could do that.
Were you constantly out of breath and constantly sweaty?
Constantly sweaty. I practiced, and I heard that gal that you were really trying to push Candy on talk about
Lisa.
being out of breath.
Yeah.
And that resonated with me so much, because I remember, and I still do it because it's just something I learned to do, wanting to withhold the sound of my breath. I even do it now. I'm even aware of, can they hear me breathing right now? But getting on an elevator, I would hold my breath. She talked about going up a flight of stairs and not wanting to seem out of breath. And I got very good at like quietly taking really deep breaths and letting them out slowly, just because I didn't want to be perceived as being taxed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's all these workarounds you were trying to do to pass as like, oh, I'm
He's
just
okay.
like you. Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah.
Were you happy being that big, or like content, or like what's the mindset? I mean, people must stare at you all the time when you're that size and give you dirty looks.
It was just, here's the really crazy thing. At my heaviest, I was a successful actor.
Right.
I had no problem talking to girls.
Wow.
I did drugs. I drank. I kind of was just like doing everything I wanted and needed to do. And so within that, there was no thing of like, I can't go to work because I'm too fat. That wasn't the thing.
Right.
But when I met my wife and I could see the trajectory of her life going in a direction where there was a lot of stuff she was going to want to do with whoever she wound up with that I was not going to be able to do, I think that was part of me going like, what do I want? Do I want to continue down this path, which is for sure early death? Or do I want to go have this kind of fairy tale life that I always dreamed about as a kid, never really thought would happen, and got distracted from having as a goal? And the value of her was so great. I think it really helped in motivating me to get healthy.
How did you get clothes at that size? Because you're not short either.
No. Big and tall man shop, Dickies pants, which I wore when I was a kid, and I was still overweight as a kid, but I wasn't nearly as insanely obese as I got, but they always made big sizes, and I just wore predominantly Dickies, and then eventually gigantic sweatpants because they would stretch, so you could get a big pair of sweatpants, and it didn't matter how much your weight fluctuated, it always kind of fit.
Wait, so I mean, literally, what size are you buying? Is there like just like a fat fuck size?
Yeah, no, like Dickies, I think I went up to 80.
I'm under a 25-inch waist.
Yeah.
80?
Yeah.
That's more than my height.
Yeah, it's insane. I was insane. I would never have fit in this chair. We'd have had to take the armrests off, and then sitting down, I would have been really nervous about breaking it.
Do you think you'd be a guest on this show if you were 500 pounds? Sweetheart. Oh, please. I'm not Hollywood. Right. We don't have those types in this room.
Right. I had to lose the weight. It was just to get in here.
Yes. And now your dream has come true.
Everything. I can die now.
Was there like this fear, like in all seriousness, that like you're going to wake up one day or that'll be, you're going to sleep, you're not waking up?
I had that night plenty of times where I had sleep apnea.
Right.
I had all the issues.
That's no joke.
No, I know. I went to bed a lot of nights thinking this is it, but I was also doing drugs. So
okay.
I think at the time I blamed a lot of that thought on the drugs, and it wasn't until later where I was like, well, that's not a cure-all. I'm still 500 plus pounds. That can kill you just as easily,
I was on a plane coming back from LA just like a couple weeks ago, and the guy next to me, I would say he's probably like 300, so he wasn't, insanely big, and it was the first time I was sitting next to someone who was heavy, and my heart really went out for him because he says, I'm sorry, I snore a lot. I have sleep apnea. You could tell he was very embarrassed. I can sleep through an alarm, so I don't care. And it was very loud. And like at one time he fell on me and I just pushed him back, and he's like, and he felt, you could tell, horrible. And I felt really bad for him because this guy really isn't like, well, tough shit, you have to deal with it. He's like, I don't want to be like this. And the apnea thing, explain to people what that is, because that is extremely dangerous, much more than the heart attack stuff.
Yeah, you just die in your sleep. So sleep apnea is basically, what I've read is if your neck exceeds 20 inches around, you start to be for sure have sleep apnea. And then you can get it. Smaller people can get it too. But basically, as you lay down, your throat kind of collapses in on your windpipe, and you have to wake yourself up, or subconsciously you wake up in order to force oxygen in and out. So you stop breathing, and the byproduct of this is that you don't sleep. You don't ever get into REM state because it collapses prior to that. And it's just really taxing on the body to never actually get rest. I remember at my worst, I couldn't really drive anywhere. If I stop at a red light, I would fall asleep. And you fall asleep just for seconds, but it was almost like narcoleptic.
Oh my God.
Because I was never really sleeping. It was scary.
Yeah. What are some, like, as you go up in weight, right? What are some of the things that you start to lose, right? Like you're mentioning, you're going to lose being able to sit in chairs, right?
Yeah.
What other things are taken away from you?
You start to lose sitting in chairs. You start to lose like going out with friends, because most of the social places are set up for people with normal sized bodies. And I don't say normal in a sense of the way it should be. I just say normal in the way that statistically bodies are a certain size. And so in these public places, like a movie theater, now we have a lot of movie theaters. I think as America gets wider, suddenly a lot of movie theaters have made it so the armrests go up. And I think that's not specifically about cuddling with your significant other. It's because a lot of people don't fit in the movie theater chair anymore. There's a theater in Los Angeles on Fairfax, and it's like an old-timey movie theater. They play a lot of like old Chaplin movies and stuff, and sometimes they do screenings there. And the seats have not changed for close to 100 years, and they're tiny. They are tiny. I don't think I fit in one of those seats today. Wow. I know we've evolved larger.
Sure.
But like I remember the first time I went to that theater and I literally couldn't squeeze into a chair, which there's always, even if it's uncomfortable, I can usually figure it out. And I could not get into one of these chairs, and just thinking like this was the size of a person before we started to have so much food available to us,
So what else? So
movies, social places were difficult. Airplanes were a real nightmare because even even if I had some movie studio paying for first class, I had to get a seat extender.
You mean seat belt extender?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know when the
Yeah,
when
yeah.
the stewardess comes out and says, and she shows you how that thing is also doubles as
Okay.
allowing somebody big to use a seatbelt.
But you could fit in the first class seat?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not what I experience now if I
Sure.
go in a first class seat. It was like what you probably experience in a coach seat.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's not super comfortable, but yeah, I fit. Shopping for clothes, there wasn't really internet there
Right.
wasn't internet as I grew up, and so there was a big and tall man shop that was the only place I could buy clothes. You know, I remember I was probably 27, 28 was the first time I was ever able to go to a department store and buy
Wow.
clothes. And even then it was hit or miss of like, do I squeeze into the biggest size here? So that was something. Never really sitting in the back seat of a friend's car, which could be a drag for them. You know, there was just every kind of bit of life that involved leaving the house was problematic.
I got to get a little graphic. I'm sorry. I'm not
Sure.
trying to put you on the spot,
Yeah.
but like 500 is such a huge number.
Yeah.
So like going to the bathroom, showering. I
Yeah.
mean, bodybuilders lose mobility.
Yeah.
So when you're that big, are you able to do all that hygiene stuff?
Yeah, I never lost the ability to care for myself.
Okay.
But it wasn't necessarily easy. At work, we're given a trailer to kind of like get changed in because we have to put on costumes and stuff and relax in between shots and stuff. And I could never use the bathroom in one of those. It was not, that was
Wow.
physically impossible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to ask,
Yeah.
when you were at your heaviest, what was that one food that really was your trap?
If there was one thing I found myself snacking on a lot, it was Reese's Pieces.
Really?
Yeah.
But those, how many could you go through?
I could go through, a 5-pound bag, not per day maybe, but every few days. Yeah. That was a real Costco buy.
Were you like E.T.? Is that it?
Yeah.
Do you know-
I was affected by that movie for sure.
Do you know the Neil Hamburger joke?
No.
Neil Hamburger, my favorite comedian, he has a joke. He goes, "Why does E.T. like Reese's Pieces so much? Because they taste like sperm on his home planet."
That's a good joke.
No refunds.
That's a good joke.
Yeah.
Hey guys, want to tell you about Real Sponsor. Here's what they do. They make incredibly soft 3-ply toilet paper that's delivered straight to your door. 3-ply is 50% better than 2-ply. What they're doing is, if you go to realpaper.com, REEL paper.com, and use code MALICE, you get free shipping on every order, 20% off a single purchase, or 10% off your subscription box. I'm very, very proud to be able to sell hipster toilet paper. It's made from bamboo, and they help people who don't have clean toilets as part of their work have access to that. So when people come to your house, they'll be like, "Oh, what's this toilet paper? Oh, it's called Real. You probably haven't heard of it." Go to realpaper.com, REEL paper.com, promo code MALICE. You get 20% off and free shipping. Try it. That terrible toilet paper you have at work, it doesn't have to be this way. They use sandpaper here at the gas offices. I am not a happy camper. Let's get back to the show.
Can we talk about The Hunt? Is that okay?
Sure, yeah. I'd love
So
to.
you were in this never released movie, The Hunt,
Yeah.
which there was, the right wing complains about cancel culture, but the right wing canceled this movie.
Both wings tried to cancel it,
Okay,
but ultimately the right wing canceled it.
Oh yeah. So let's talk about this film and the whole thing there.
So The Hunt is
Is it ever getting released?
I don't know. I was told and I wasn't told by a studio exec, but I was told that if there was no violence at a screening of The Joker, we would get a release. And then I don't think there was violence. I think there were a couple called in threats, but there was no acts of violence.
Oh, there was one. Did you not know this
No,
story?
I
This is
didn't.
the best part.
So maybe that's why we didn't get released.
So the Babylon Bee had a great headline where they say media disappointed at lack of violence at Joker screenings. In France, a Muslim guy got up and screamed Allahu Akbar, and it was a con to get everyone to run out so they could take people's purses. So that was the only act of violence that
Right.
ever happened with the Joker. It was
But nobody
it was
got
terrorism.
stabbed or
Nobody.
shot.
Nobody.
No
Yeah.
bombs.
Nope.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it ever gets released. I hope it does because it's actually a really good movie that is about how these two kind of factions can't communicate with one another. It's about wealthy elites like you who live in New York who go to like the middle of the country and kidnap people. It really does sound like something you would do.
Why would I want to go to the Midwest?
To catch your prey.
We have rats here.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, you would just go somewhere else. You would go to
Bronx.
the Upper West Side, right? The Bronx. And they take them to a preserve and kind of release them and then hunt them. You know, it's a version of the most dangerous
Yes.
game. And the assumption is, although it's not explicit, that the elites are left liberals and that the people in the Midwest that they've kidnapped and the Midwest and South are conservatives. But there is no political agenda
It's not even like they're wearing MAGA hats or anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Wow. From the press, it sure seemed that way.
Right, but the character I played a podcaster who was like modeled loosely on Alex Jones, who was just like super conspiracy, and there's like pictures of me screaming into a microphone in my basement. But he wasn't talking like there wasn't the political bents of the groups are mostly assumptions, that you would make. You paint a stereotype of a person and you go, I know who that guy's voting for. It was kind of like that. And so these elites are hunting these guys. They started, and I thought it was really great. They started airing the trailer for this movie during the first Democratic debates on CNN.
Oh my God.
It was so good. It was so good. And under the debates, there was a chyron that just said, go see the hunt. It was like, you couldn't, it was
Amazing.
it was wonderful. And that pissed a lot of the Democrats off, like infuriated them. And then that weekend, we had the shooting in Texas and the shooting in Ohio.
Yeah.
Which were incredibly tragic, but all of the animosity for violence in cinema was kind of like already brewing towards us because of what was done over the debates. So they were like, and fuck this movie, right? So then we go the week with the Democrats mad at us, and we start to come into the weekend, and I believe what happened was on like a Friday, Trump says something about like, well, maybe we need some gun regulation, right? And over the weekend, Fox and Drudge and a couple other places started pushing a story that Hollywood was, through this movie, The Hunt, saying it was encouraging the elites to kill the deplorables, which was not true at all. If anything, I mean, listen, the movie really is about how these two groups of people can't communicate. But if anything, if you say to me, I have a movie about one group of people hunting another group of people, clearly the hunters are the bad guys.
If they don't kill them all.
Right. Right. Yes, it depends on
Success
you,
rate.
you can't judge it from the end, though. You don't know what the
Sure,
end
that's
is.
true.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. No, if you have a group of people who are murdering, you're rooting for not the murderers.
You're rooting for the people getting murdered.
Yes.
That's how movies work.
Yeah, you don't root for Jason.
Right. You're never rooting for Jason. That could be fun. Unless you're Quentin Tarantino
Sure, yeah.
occasionally,
Yeah.
right? We weren't doing that. So after, I think Trump took some heat over the weekend about saying something about gun reform, Monday he comes hard with, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. It's Hollywood. They're making a movie where they're, encouraging people to kill deplorables. And he starts tweeting about it.
I didn't realize this part that Trump got in on it. Wow. Holy
Tweeted
shit.
about it. I got so excited, Michael. It was the greatest. I thought it's going to be the biggest movie ever. I saw advertisements. I heard the voice going, the movie the president doesn't want you to see.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, nothing could be better. Now, what I've read into it, and I don't know that this is true. I haven't actually spoken to anybody, but my theory is that the movie saw Trump, the studio saw Trump deflecting the gun regulation conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And they just didn't want to give him a platform to do that, because he would have kept doing that.
Sure.
He would have kept this movie, which would have been great advertising, but it would have also taken away from anybody who wanted to, in Hollywood, a lot of the people there are super pro-gun regulation. And so they just said, we're canceling the movie. Kind of, I think, to stop him from being able to use the movie to get away from what he said a few days before. And that was that.
How did you find out they're canceling it? Did they actually call you, or did you find out?
Yeah, I got a call. The director called me.
Was he pissed?
He wasn't pissed. He understood.
Okay.
Kind of like it had to happen. Both sides of the country were mad at us.
Yeah.
And, so he was understanding. He was not happy. It's not, everybody worked really hard, and it's actually a really good movie. It's funny.
Wait,
it's
you said everyone worked very hard, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I qualified it by saying it's actually a really good movie.
Okay,
so
fair,
both
fair.
things are true. Okay. Yeah, I've covered both sides. I actually really liked it. I thought it had a good message. It was well executed.
Was it like a black comedy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's okay.
It was fun.
What was the budget? Do you know?
I don't. Probably $20 million.
So it's not nothing.
No.
This is not some throwaway.
No, and then they had fired off a lot of money in advertising too. So they essentially are going to take a big hit for it, I guess.
What's it? I mean, when you were filming it, did you have any inkling that maybe this would get canceled?
No, none at all. And by the way, it got canceled the weekend it got canceled. Fast and the Furious, but it wasn't Fast and the Furious. It was like a spin-off for Fast and the Furious. Was #1 at the box office. Way more violent. Way more people get killed in that movie. Way more people get shot and blown up and murdered in that movie than do in ours. So it was really kind of this like mind fuck.
Well, it's like Hitler versus Stalin. It's wrong to kill 6 million people for their ethnicity, but if you're killing people equally, and it's 30 million, that's fine.
No problem.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I guess that's kind of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing the priorities.
Do you think Stalin ever sat down and thought, I want to just kill Jews, but it's going to look bad. So for every Jew, I'm going to kill like 3 random ethnicities.
Towards the end of his life, the last year, he was going on the last group he was going to start a new Holocaust.
Was the Jews. He was after them, right?
And also the doctors, because as he was getting sicker, he thought this was a conspiracy against him. And as he had his stroke, they had to get the doctors out of the Lublanka, which is the torture room where the doctors are being tortured, to help Stalin. Wow. Like, it is the most surreal. Like, people often talk about, obviously how demented Nazism and so on is. But, the Soviet Union and Stalin lasted a lot longer than Hitler, and a lot larger area. And it wasn't war. It was peacetime where this is happening.
Right.
And you hear these stories, where he would do to Beria. Beria was his head of what became the KGB. And he would say, find me 1,000 people in this town. Like, he'd give them quotas of criminals. And Beria's line was, find me the man, I'll find you the crime.
Right.
So then it becomes, you're tortured until your eyes are popped out of your head, like literally beaten for days, whatever. And then you're naming names, and it's just anyone you've ever met.
Yeah.
And it becomes kind of like a virus, because it's like whoever you've been in contact with has now been snared by the state, your wife, your kids, and what the only thing the kids could do, and you're a dad, you can't, maybe you can wrap your head around this. Like, the kids would go in court and demand the death penalty for their dad as a class enemy to kind of
to protect
themselves.
Yeah.
Or they actually believed it.
Right.
That's also a possibility.
Yeah.
In the Soviet Union, there's something called Pavlik Morozov. He's this little kid. And why he's taught to school children there is because he turned his parents into the cops because they were like secretly selling sweaters or some shit. Like, so they were like profiteers.
He's a hero.
And he's taught to children in the Soviet Union, like, call the cops on your parents if they're doing anything fucked up.
Wow.
So I talk about this a lot. Americans have no concept of life in the Soviet Union and being Russian. And even I have a very little concept because I hadn't had to experience it.
Yeah.
But you read these stories and it's just like,
It's horrifying.
we can't wrap, it's surreal.
Yeah.
We can't wrap our heads around it.
I look at some of the old posters, the propaganda posters that they put up in the Ukraine during the famine.
Oh, yeah.
And it was literally like, your kids are not food.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's stuff like that.
Well, in North Korea in the 90s, they launched a campaign called Let's Eat 2 meals a day instead of 3 because having 3 meals a day is unhealthy.
Oh.
So it's a good thing we don't have food
Right.
because you don't want to get fat. Well, that problem has been solved in North Korea.
Right.
So it's the Orwellianism is really off the charts and twisted.
Yeah.
So I got to ask,
Yeah.
when you were at your heaviest, what was that one food that really was your trap?
I think the thing I've snacked on the most, I'd have to say, is celery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there different kinds of celery that you liked?
Well, no, but you could do this thing where you would put celery in a cup of water with food dye, and it would take on that color. So what I would just do is soak it in Kool-Aid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Drinking
it was,
the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it was like a treat.
You just did Good Morning America.
Yes.
Have you done it before?
I don't know if I've done that or the Today Show before. I've done morning shows before.
What's the? I mean, is everyone? They're so chipper that early.
I was thinking about that because I looked at my face in the mirror this morning about to go do this, and I was like, I don't look like these people are. Right. Look, I need time to warm up to get into this, and these people are like firing on all cylinders at 6 a.m. I don't know. They must have really bizarre schedules where they're waking up at 3 or something.
Yeah, I've done Fox at Fox and Friends First, which is 5:30 a.m. or something like that, or even 4. And they're all upbeat, and I'm like, I want to be deceased.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to make an ass of myself as we're talking North Korea, a very technical subject. And I'm just I don't know how you guys are doing this, day in, day out.
I also wonder if the people watching are ready for that, because me at 5:30 a.m., kind of no matter what I'm doing, if I have just woken up and I'm having coffee, I'm not ready for somebody who's, enthusiastic about anything.
Tell me about this podcast. Who else is on this platform that you guys are launching?
Sean Avery, who was a hockey player.
Okay.
Here's what I know about him. He was a hockey player. He's married to a model. He uses bad language.
Okay.
And he tells people to go fuck themselves.
Okay.
So he's cool.
Okay.
Bob Menery, who does these kind of mock sports clips on Instagram where he swears and says a bunch of foul stuff, but he sounds like a sportscaster.
Okay, got it.
He's great.
Okay.
And he interviews sports people. Those are the two people that I've seen, and I know they have some podcasts with girls that they haven't released yet, but those are the podcasts me and those two dudes have been released. And then I think this week they're releasing one with some girls that's Kevin's excited about.
It's makeup time.
Yeah.
Hey, girl.
Something like that. I think something like that. Or a girl's perspective on nightlife in Los Angeles. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just drink poison.
Yeah, something like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
Yeah.
That sounds like hell on earth.
Yeah. I think that will be the one of his shows that I don't maybe listen to every week, but I listen to the other ones.
I went to see a magician perform in New York who I was friends with, who was actually scared to do the show because of some of the guests I've had on. So he's dead to me.
Yeah.
And during we're waiting in the lobby at this theater, and there are postcards for a show that was coming up at that theater. And the postcard was for a show called Jew-ish, Jew-ish, a young Jewish girl's adventures in online dating. And I was like, I would rather be in Auschwitz than sit through this. This sounds like literally the most excruciating thing on earth. And I actually imagined what it would be like in my head.
Yeah.
And it would be her complaining about how weird and annoying all these guys are. And it's like, bitch, you're not bringing much to the table. You think you're funny. You just have attitude.
Right.
And it's like, oh, and I'm Jewish. I'm like, I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
This is not the business.
Right. I'm younger than your mother.
Yeah, right.
That kind of
God.
thing.
Oh. Whew. Okay. Do you like coming back to New York?
Yeah. I have a kid who goes to school here, so I always like to come visit her.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say that there's a lot of culinary temptations here.
Well, I mean, LA too, though, no?
There are in LA, but you're kind of like driving from one place to, I'm never wandering around LA.
Oh yeah.
And here, no matter what route I take, I'm going to pass a Gray's Papaya
Oh yeah.
and go like,
Are you a
"That would
hot
be
dog
good."
guy?
I love hot dogs.
Really?
Yeah, but I all we have really is Pink's in LA.
Okay.
So that's like one spot that I never drive by.
Have you been to Shalom, Japan?
No, that sounds really good though.
It's the world's only Jewish-Japanese fusion restaurant.
Wow.
And it's amazing. It's in Williamsburg.
Okay.
You really, if you have time, should go check it out. I love that place. And
Yeah.
not many people know about it. My friend Jay recommended it to me.
Okay, Shalom Japan. That's funny because I have a friend named Alon Hall who opened a restaurant in LA, which was
Wait, was he on Top Chef?
yes,
Okay.
a winner.
Yeah, with
One
his,
of
he has a brother, right? No,
don't-
maybe he doesn't.
I don't
Okay,
think he
yeah, I
does.
know Elon. Okay.
And-
Wait, he beat my boy Marcel.
Yes, he
Oh,
he
no,
stomped Marcel into the
Marcel,
dirt.
I had Marcel's URL. He was.
I bet you did.
I
You
know I
probably
did. I gave him a
loved
domain
Marcel.
name. I loved
Really?
Marcel. Oh, I'm
I
pissed.
saw
Oh, I'm
anger
pissed.
in
I'm
your
pissed. He
eyes.
stole that from Elon, from
He-
Marcel.
Elon said, "Learn to use some salt. Learn to use paprika." I loved it. He like just told this kid off.
This kid was a genius who was using all this kind of magic and science.
All he had going for him was hair.
No,
That's
he
it.
had molecular gastronomy. He had all the tricks and the techniques.
I don't.
Are you gonna have Elon on your show?
Yeah, for sure. At some point, he
Okay,
lives in New York now.
Put broken glass in his food for me. I
Okay.
hate that guy.
He opened a place called the Gorbles in LA, but then he
Goebbels?
moved to New York. Yeah, Gorbles.
The Goebbels.
Not the Goebbels.
You don't get to eat.
Gorbles.
You have to hide in the attic.
Scottish Jewish fusion.
Okay, everything's baked.
No, it was so funny. He had a BLT with chicken skin.
Okay.
It was really good.
That does sound really good.
Yeah.
How do you know Elon? I forgot I hate him.
Listen,
No, you listen.
I am a glutton.
The American glutton.
Yeah, I am the glutton. And me and Alon would go on eating trips together. We went to Portland and went and ate at all his friends' restaurants and would just say, we'll take everything on the menu and just eat the restaurant under the table. He's a great dude.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It was so much fun.
How many cities have you done that with him?
New York and LA and Portland.
So New York, where did you hit?
At the time,
It's gonna be hard to remember.
this
I'm
was a
sure.
long time
Okay.
ago. I don't remember the names of any of the restaurants we went to
Okay.
in Portland. But the guy, all I remember is eating a pork shoulder served with lettuce cups and oysters.
Wow.
That's somebody's restaurant.
Okay.
Who's now who does Milk Bar? Do you know that guy?
Oh yeah, the Kurova. Yeah. There's also the dessert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's very famous.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
So we went to a few of that guy's restaurants in one night. I've done eating with him in Brooklyn, and we go to a few restaurants.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. By the way, these fucking chefs can put away so much food. It's insane.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Because they're not usually big.
No, but they'll just go and maybe they're not finishing their meals, but they're like eating everything. They need to eat everything, and they put little bits of everything on one bite, and they know how to. It's like wild watching them eat.
Yeah, and they really get into food, obviously, and it's just the tricks that they know. It's just like they're like magic,
Yeah.
like Marcel, and
Yeah.
then there's the people like Elon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I did a night once with John and Vinny. Have you heard of them?
No.
They're big in LA. They have Animal and Son of a Gun. And
Oh,
John
I know
and
Animal.
Vinny's.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have great restaurants. We went in one night. This was the most food I've ever eaten in a night. But they started the food tour of LA with all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue.
Oh wow.
And I was like, guys, this is the worst. Like, I can't pace myself. They
Yeah.
just keep, every time the meat's gone, they bring more meat. What are we doing? And they were like, no, this is how you warm up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't eat I can't eat Korean barbecue because I don't like fatty food, and it's
Yeah.
all the meat's fatty.
All. Yeah.
So it's kind of
You
annoying
can't
for
do
me.
a lean bulk at Korean barbecue.
You can't. That's exactly right. This is a big problem for me.
Yeah.
So, that does. So whenever I go on bro trips, my friend Jay, he's really very into food. So that is what we do. He picks out a bunch of cool places.
I listen. I knew you were a health guy, and that
I'm
is
not a
why.
health guy. I'm a fitness guy.
No, I
I'm
knew,
not
but
healthy.
I knew that I had that suspicion, and I want to say that is why I picked North Korean to take you to in LA.
Yeah.
Remember?
That was an amazing
Yeah,
experience.
but specifically, no fatty meat, very small portions.
That's true.
Yeah,
but it was also
authentic.
right. It did remind me of the motherland, so to speak.
We left hungry.
We did. That was really good restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they have North Korean restaurants throughout the world with North Korean citizens as the staff, but they're not allowed to leave the restaurant.
They live in there.
Yeah. They're in Dubai. You can't leave the restaurant.
It's like an embassy or something?
No, they're like slaves.
Wow.
So, yeah, but they're rich. The money goes back home and helps their family, but
Right.
it's still like you cannot leave. So it's just, I mean, the levels of control this government has over people is really kind of demented. Have you ever considered, would you ever go to North Korea?
I would love to go to North Korea.
You'd be the biggest guy in the whole country.
Yeah. Even now.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was just really funny when I was there and I knew for a fact that I'm the funniest person in this whole country. I'm like, that's not really saying much. I'm kind of
but
funny.
it's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. And there was a guy on the trip who was Irish who was 6'7", and they didn't know what to make of him. And I think he was a little bit, off
Right.
in some ways, but maybe he was just Irish. I don't know. How are you guys doing this podcast? Is it weekly? Are you gonna do block seasons?
Weekly, I think. I've been telling them from the beginning, and taking a lot of heat from the girl who's producing it a little bit, and my wife, who kind of is in charge of everything. But I can't do or make any decisions. All I can do is show up and talk. And if you need me to do anything more than that, this will be a failure. Because I can't do it.
Why can't you do it?
I just don't. I like that question you just asked me. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. What do I wouldn't even know what to do if I said, like, let's do 2 a week. I just would tell somebody that. I wouldn't actually know how to make 2 appear a week. I don't know I don't know what goes into it. Like, somebody's back here pressing record, I assume. I don't know what that person does. They keep switching cameras. Somebody's doing that, right? I don't know how to do that.
I have people who watch me in my live streams on this show have seen me spurg out a lot, so it's good to see it happen from somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, I literally get overwhelmed with somebody telling me like that question. I'm like, I don't, tell Paige loves you. You should ask Paige. You should tell her what we should do, actually.
Well, how would I know? Well, I'm the same as you. I come in here.
You talk.
I talk.
Yeah.
I get my guests. I rub Nutella on my face.
Yeah.
Have a antique rose mirror. And
By the way, you coming to do my show was the first and only person that I booked.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Everybody else was them saying, hey, you want to talk to this person? And me saying, yeah. And then them saying, okay, be here at this time. The only one that was like, Michael is coming at this time on this day. So just, I don't care what you're doing. That's what we're doing. You were it.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was good.
It was. I think the episode's going to drop in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's really useful for males to hear about other males who have severe eating and body issues.
I think so too. And for me, it's because I don't talk to men about this.
Right.
Like you and I talk, but it wasn't like the first thing we talked about. It grew into this because we discovered we had similar
Mental illness.
ideas. And yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently girls, and I got a little bit of flack for calling them chicks. I just want to say, I call my daughters guys. I say, hey guys, let's go to the store or
It's a
something like
colloquialism.
that. That's what I say. I don't mean anything offensive to them.
You're not Alec Baldwin.
When I say chicks, it's not demeaning.
No.
It's not meant to demean. If the word chicks hurts somebody feeling, I didn't intend it that way.
Sure.
I'll call my daughters chicks.
Yeah.
What are those chicks doing?
Yeah.
Actually, that might be a lie. I might not have ever done that, but I don't think poorly of myself when I do it.
I don't think I've ever concerned myself with what my daughters are doing.
Yeah. No, I concern but not in those words. Other words.
I don't care what those chicks are doing.
Yeah, who gives a shit what those chicks are doing? I don't know. The word chicks for me is not offensive. I like the word broads.
Yeah, it's old-timey.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't think it's demeaning.
I call people dames sometimes too.
Dames, yeah, that dame, that's a great one. I'm going to bring that back.
I use
See
it on
if I
Twitter.
get
It's
shit
a
for
lot
that.
of fun.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at the mouth on this dame.
Yeah, but I think gals are talking about this with each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
I didn't really realize that. Like, I think men just don't communicate about it as much. Is that possible?
Yeah, because we don't have the emotional space. there's also this kind of weird gay aspect if you're looking at male bodies that people are uncomfortable with. So, and it's also like, as a guy, you're supposed to be happy with your build, and most guys are, and I think also guys have a lot more leeway with their build than women, because women, when they gain weight, the proportions change very quickly. It has a very different look. With guys, if a guy has an extra 15 pounds, 20 pounds body fat, he's still kind of going from like built to built fat. It's not really a difference, emotionally or how people perceive you, I think. So, I mean, the big difference is when you get your cum gutters in, it's about to happen.
Can't wait.
I am so excited.
Can't wait. Have we figured out and determined whose cum
we have not
is landing in the gutters?
So I haven't looked it up. The term makes no sense.
I don't get it.
I love it so much.
It's pretty good, but I can't wrap my head around it functionally.
It doesn't make any sense.
I see cum running down the gutters.
Sure.
And then I think maybe that's not the picture I, as a heterosexual man, am supposed to have in my head.
But again, I think the only thing that makes sense is the guy is so high on his own body that he's jerking off on himself.
Right. Because he's hot.
Yes.
See, I didn't even think of that.
Well, that was my only theory.
I just thought of him as a receptacle, and then
but then it's not going on his stomach.
Right.
And it's not going to be he's not going to be on his back.
Right. Once you have attained that, isn't a huge part of it so that you can be attractive to whoever would be receiving the essence of what the word says goes in the stomach?
I'll have to ask Luis J. Gomez. He knows more about this kind of stuff than I do.
Good. We're a little. You and I are a little bit lost with this.
Yes. So I mean, I'll. It's like on Seinfeld when there's that early episode where he went to get a reservation for his car, and they didn't have the small size car, and he's like, "You have a reservation?" She's like, "Well, we know, but you don't have the car." He goes, "I don't think you do know, because you have the reservation,
Right.
but you're not holding the car."
Right.
And that's the important part: is the holding.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I have the cum gutters,
right.
but I don't know.
What do we do with them?
Whose cum?
Yeah.
Whose cum is gutting?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, did you ever? What's going to happen next, right?
Playgirl?
No, you're going to get book deals.
I actually have been doing a writing course at UCLA.
Okay.
Because I wanted to write a book. Now, but you said something really interesting to me the last time we talked. You said you don't write a book and then get a book deal.
Correct.
You get an agent and then you pitch a book.
Correct.
And then the editor says, that's a terrible idea. Figure out a better one. And then you pitch another book and then you get a book deal.
No, the editor will say, I want this book, but I want it changed in this way.
Right.
So
Which I hear as, that's a terrible idea. Make it better. And then we'll do it.
Well, no, he'll say, we'll do it. So you'll get the offer.
Okay.
So you're not going to have to go back to square one.
Okay.
I'll tell you after the show, I had a great idea for a book, and my agent said it's so topical, but it's too controversial. So I
want you to write that book.
Yeah, did I tell you about it?
I think so.
Okay, so no, I don't think I did.
Okay.
So I'll tell you about it after the air. I like fucking with the audience a little bit. Okay, we are running out of time.
Okay.
What has been my favorite part of this interview?
I really liked how you thought that you were creating a safe space, but in fact, I was creating a safe space for you to finally confront and battle your demons.
I am welcome.